Happy New Year and welcome to Pivot Talk by Known. I'm Bob Bishop from Apex Growth Consulting, and I'm excited to bring you the first Pivot Talk of 2021. As a beginning, I would like to thank those of you who are joining us live, and also those of you who are joining us via delay on either Facebook or on YouTube. And next, my co-host, as it has been through all of our Pivot Talks, Juan Salas-Romer. And I'd like to bring Juan on camera here and welcome you for 2021, Juan.
Happy New Year, Bob. Thank you so much for having me.
Excited to have a new batch of shows that we can share with folks as we come into the new year.
This is number 8.
Could you back us up a little bit, Juan, and give us a little bit of the history? We're now probably in month 8 of our Pivot Talks, and explain how this fits into the overall ecosystem at Known.
You know, Bob, I was counting. We did 9 shows last year in 8 months. So we're doing a show kind of once a month, and ever since we started this, I think this started out of the lockdown. You know, we started as a co-working space, which we still are. We're still here in Orange Street in New Haven. And out of the lockdown in March, we started to think about ways to continue that community connection. So we started three different projects. One, it's really tailored to digital media sync, it's called, that it shows all kinds of digital tools for entrepreneurs. The other one, called the Connection Corner, was more community oriented. So a lot of social entrepreneurs are getting interviewed there. And then the third program is called People Talk. And in People Talk, Bob and I try to analyze how different businesses deal with change. And as the pandemic hit, we thought that this was an interesting space for entrepreneurs to showcase what they do, and also for members of our known community to gain new connections in town and try to learn from those changes that are happening. And so far, we've had anything from how our changes in architecture took place. We had restaurants, we have escape rooms, we had all kinds of guests here, and how did they deal with the pandemic. So very excited to have Neville today to talk about fashion. That's why I brought my scarf here, to be in tune with the fashion business today. Looking forward.
Great. Well, thanks. And yes, very excited to have our guest today. And I've known Neville for a number of years, and as we were preparing, I think I realized that beyond what I know him for and what he's been doing, there's so much going on. So rather than try to pull things together, I borrowed from his website a little description for folks here, and I'm gonna share that now. Neville Wisdom is the head designer and owner of the Neville Wisdom clothing label based in New Haven, Connecticut. Neville began designing and creating clothing at the age of 15 and learned many aspects of the trade from watching a local tailor in his small rural town in Jamaica. Neville is mostly self-taught, having picked up his love for creating clothing from a combination of necessity and originality, straying from the norm even as a child. Neville has been designing clothing for both men and women for over 25 years. In 2008, Neville entered the U.S. fashion scene, opening a tiny boutique in Westville, New Haven, and selling assorted small brand clothing without the help of additional employees. Since then, Neville has opened 2 Neville Wisdom retail locations. This probably is more than that now as we're talking today, that exclusively produce and sell his clothing line. The Nevilles Wisdom Studio focuses on manufacturing clothing of integrity, quality, and longevity, all made in the USA. Neville is a man of the community. He mentors aspiring designers, teaches children at numerous schools and classrooms, hosts on-site field trips, and curates charity fashion shows. He's a man who would give you the shirt off his back, and chances are he probably made it. So with that, I'd like to welcome Neville to join us today.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
Great.
It's going great.
Happy New Year. It is as we are in this 2021 year.
Yeah, here we are. Another turn the page into 2021. So we're excited about what that might be. So thinking of years though, our the challenge for you today is to rewind 12 months. What were you looking at and thinking for the business as you turned the page into 2020 without knowing all the things that were coming? Where were you? What were you thinking about and working on?
So for my business, in terms of how I calculated, I'm always like a couple of years of in terms of ahead of the business. Sometimes I have to slow it down because sometimes I'm too far ahead. Mm-hmm. But I always try to think where I want to be at a particular point in when that time actually comes around. So usually the motion is set and things start moving into that direction. And so in 2018, I'd already taken on a sort of a new business, not necessarily a new business model, but a business model that was originally what we started out with. We wanted to be in an area where we could have more foot traffic. We wanted to see how that would impact the business in terms of how we move forward, because every location that we've done has been sort of like a lesser of the foot traffic kind of like community, and so we wanted to sort of, so that's what it was in my head for 2018. How do we lock down a high foot traffic area? Mm-hmm. And see how that sort of like works for the business.
Right. So you were already planning things to move you towards the location where you are today.
Yes. We had the Orange Street and the Westville location, which were sort of like both studios that we kept. We held on to for a total of for quite some time. The expansion from Orange Street, and the reason why we eventually left Orange Street was that we needed growth. We needed a bigger space. We bought a lot of equipment, some of it automated equipment that and if I could make it as simple as possible, like a table that's 12 foot by 72 inches wide, that cuts fabric. And we added a lot of sewing machines to do different functions. And so we just needed a bigger space from where we was in Orange Street, and we couldn't find something within our landlord space available to move into without breaking our current lease. So that's why we went to Westville. Mm-hmm. And so when we went to Westville, there was almost no need for Orange Street again, because now we were operating two stores in areas that don't have foot traffic. So I did sort of like a test with Orange Street in the last year that we were there, where we did an appointment only sort of framework to cut down on how much we'd have to pay someone to stay in that store that wasn't really generating enough income to pay a full-time staff, but still keep that shop open. So for the last year that we had that store, we did by appointments only, and the numbers that came about from that was enough for me to make the decision to let's just take on a high traffic area with a smaller store in comparison to what we're doing on Orange Street in terms of like just appointment only is enough to pay rent somewhere in a little bit traffic area with a smaller space, and see how that sort of like impacted our business.
Neville, could you comment on the impact of the lockdowns and COVID? What were the challenges that you saw there, and how did you pivot during this month?
Well, we COVID was. I mean, there were a particular point when I was like, well, like, because there's this dream in the back of my mind that I'm always like moving back to the Cayman Islands. That's kind of like my worst case scenario, which is isn't such a bad thing after all. But like I've been very close to my brother my brother lives in the Cayman Islands, and my first 5 years of life is actually lived in the Cayman Islands. And a lot of my siblings went to high school there and stuff like that. So we have like a history in the Cayman Islands. And I visit my brother quite a lot. We're very close. And so we always have this kind of like, well, the worst case scenario, you can just come and stay with me. And so my worst case scenario, but in the beginning of the pandemic, I mean, January and February is always tough months for us. And with us trying to sort of like figure out a sweet spot for now, having a Chapel Street store that required a little bit more hours as opposed to Westville, trying to work out take the good things, take the positive from things, and then sort of like mesh those two together. So before the pandemic, I had already started having those conversations about combining into one space, but I wanted to see what downtown was doing. I had a year of like a trafficked area and saw how people were responding to the business that weren't New Haveners, the people who were just in town for a second or just visiting, and how their purchasing patterns and stuff like that, and just how the brand came across them, how we'd be able to sell more products and stuff like that. So, but when the pandemic hit, it was like, I think this might be it, like, I think, like us, like, we're going to be hit really hard because clothes is not something you think about when you're like in a pandemic, nobody can.
You're locked down at home while you're at work.
Right. I'm the worst case scenario. I'm like going through my head. I'm like, this is one of the first businesses that are gonna close.
Right.
We are like not a necessity, and but in the first couple of weeks, I was home just listening to the news. Watching what's happening, and then I noticed that masks became a shortage, and then the pandemic was sort of like people I started researching like really early about like mask and what kind of like materials or fabric that we could use. And then as soon as like by the time the CDC send out a documents about cloth masks being something that people could wear to help keep the spread of the COVID down, I just immediately went into design mode and designed a mask that. So I worked in the hospital, and I used to wear the mask that went around the back of my ears, and I remember sometime it would give me headaches, or it would give me, my ears would hurt me for days, because sometimes if I had like really long cases, I'd have to wear that mask for 8-9 hours sometimes, and it would be really painful in terms of the pull. So I wanted to design a mask that sort of like was, because this seemed like it was going to be something people were going to have to wear for a really long time. So I designed a mask that went around the back of the head so it wouldn't strain on the ears. And then at the time, they were really much about like having a mask that went on top of like N95, that so that people would be able to keep those N95 longer. So I made a mask that had a little pouch space in the middle. I made it out of some fabric that I had a suit from. I had a shirt and a pants and a blazer, and I took a bunch of pictures holding like maybe 25 of them and a bunch of them on a table and posted it. And it went viral. Like just immediately, like my phone blew up like I've never seen before. And I was like, oh my goodness, we have to get these on the website. So we just sprung right into action. But right up until that point, we were having conversations about like, you know, where what am I gonna do with this equipment? You know, like I have 2 stores of like a lot of things. Like what, you know, where am I gonna put it? You know, like on my exit to the Cayman Islands. I still had this, you know, like I still have all of this like possession. You know, we just talked about it, but then the mask became a thing, and then we got people interested in it, and people were dropping by and just putting in orders and then coming back and making them. We couldn't make them fast enough, and so we just kept going with that. So we were closed for 7 months. Both shops were practically closed for 7 months. And, you know, the city of New Haven, you know, I have to like commend them for ordering like maybe a 600? Yeah, 600. The city of Hampton. I still see the guys from the street park and rec walking around with the masks that they bought months ago. Still rocking them out. You know, some and then we did a bunch of donations, of course. But that's, you know, the because we made a product and we could sort of like pivot from making clothes to just making masks. It was the very thing that kept us in business, this flexibility that we have, because everything is in-house.
That's great. Yeah, and it's great to have that in-house. In fact, we've got up on the screen here a few of the things that you have for sale on your site, including a couple of rows of masks, and then it looks as though you're also have added accessorizing with the scarves, maybe for the wintertime.
Yeah, so you know, we still are a design fashion, like, you know, business, and we still like to design is something that is always what keeps me in making clothes and stuff. I like to design new things, and so no matter what the circumstances is, no matter what type of trials and tribulations we're going through, I still think, you know, we should do it in our finest way. So we've and you know, just to sort of like help, we want to still think about doing something that's still helpful. So we did the mask and the matching scarf for the holidays as sort of like a promotion, a smaller product that you can buy. The price is good on it, and it actually looks really cool. But you have a mask and a scarf, so you're cold, you're warm, and you're protecting yourself at the same time. So yeah,
that's great. I mean, as a person, my bias, spending a lot of time in businesses where things are made and manufactured. It's great to see that you've got, you know, having the capability and capacity beyond the skills that you obviously have to be able to make something right in Connecticut, in New Haven. You know, turned out to be a big opportunity for you in 2020.
Yeah, you know, I've always been interested in my physical appearance. Yeah, that's just my personality. Like when I get up in the morning, I don't think too much about what I wear. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I just kind of like grab clothes and go. But if I have cool clothes, it doesn't matter how I wear them. They just are gonna be like cool anyway, you know. That's kind of like my take on it. But you know, like for the industry that I'm in, there definitely has been a decline in industry for a very, very long time. And so when I decided to venture into this business, back into this business, I knew it had to be a different way. You know, it had to be a little bit more culturalness to it, a little bit more consciousness about the environment. And I did not have any interest in trying to create a whole bunch of merchandise to try to sell it, to get it done, made at the cheapest cost, and then sell it for the best profit without involving anybody else in it. You know, like I have a lot of consciousness around the product that we sell as well. And this is why we decided to do our business this way.
So everything is done in the store, Neville. Is that the way? Are you structured that way?
Yeah, this is how we're structured. We make everything in-house. Nothing is outsourced. You can see Dwayne in the background there. He's one of the young designers who makes his own clothes here now too. He gets to make his own designs, and we sell it in the store, and we encourage it. You know, this is still Neville wisdom, but we want to be as friendly to our environment. And I always feel like if you're going to war, then if you have a bunch of experienced soldiers, then you have a better chance. And so this module, we've sort of like made it sort of like okay for people who are serious about it, that they could potentially have a future with coming in here and using some of our equipment to create other products, sort of like a co-working design space.
Cool.
You know, we have some incubator students who come in, younger individuals who we mentor, and they come in and make different types of garments and stuff like that. So, and we're always we have a couple of interns and stuff like that, but the goal is to, you know, eventually have young or just individuals who want to be designers be able to come here, make some products, and be able to sell the products as well.
I'm glad you're talking about this, because this is very, very close to what we're doing now at Known. As a matter of fact, we're having our first cohort, Growth Lab. It's coming now in January. And actually next week starts. And actually one of the participants is in your line of business, in fashion line of business. His name is Quan. Now, you probably met Quan before, but I thought that the fact that you have this opportunity for people, apprentices, to learn about the fashion business, I think it's terrific. Now that we know that we're going to probably refer people to you.
Absolutely. Only if they're serious. we have our regiment though. We have our like, you know, we put them through the test, you know, because this is not a nice easy industry as people think. You know, it's like there's a lot that goes on behind the screen in terms of like how it's viewed or how people view it. And so I have a couple of customers just walking, so I'm just gonna put on my mask.
That's fine.
Because we are at work while we are doing this. Because that's the only thing about this space, is that it's like everything is open.
Yeah. You know, Bob, when in talking to Neville, one of the things that like to see, because we haven't talked about online sales and to what degree a retail business like his goes digital. So I wonder if there's it seems like he's getting the attention of one of the customers. But maybe we should dig a little bit on that and how it is structured. especially because a lot of the retails that we've seen in these shows, they have pivoted to be more digital, more online sales, and
Sure.
it will be very interesting to see how Neville is doing that. What's the logistic that goes behind making your business more digital to try to open that channel business.
Were you able to do anything with the slate?
Could probably be an entire show. Actually, I'd like to pull together. We've referenced a couple of things here. The move towards a new location, some of the product, and some of the team that Neville was discussing. So I'm wondering if you could give us, Neville, a little bit of an idea of your new space here.
Yeah, so the space is really just about it's like a combined design studio. Like we have all of our equipment. If you could look over, you'd see all of our sewing machines, and then we have like a table, cutting table, and stuff like that. And so we've joined our studio, which was sort of hidden in our last location, and then we've sort of like just added it at the back of the studio, and then to the front of the studio we have just rack clothes, like a boutique where you can buy something off of the shelf. So we're like working in the space, and it's very transparent, and we do a lot of like different things. We do like, we sell something, but we also customize it for customers and stuff like that.
And can you help us and anybody watching? How do we find your new space?
It's on Broadway. It's right beside J. Crew, and it's 27 Broadway downtown New Haven. And we there's a parking lot right in the center, like in the center of Broadway, down there. And if you park there and spend I think $25 or more, you get validated for free parking. I think that's still going. A lot of times people are worried about the parking on this street, but it's actually very good to park in that parking space. It's like $1.75 for an hour. So it's really affordable.
Great.
That's what you have to do. You gotta put it on.
Yeah.
So and so this your space. So how have things gone being in the new space now? Well, how are you finding business? How are you finding the foot traffic that you were looking for?
The foot traffic is definitely different from what we're accustomed to, especially in like Westville. And Westville was a very exciting space, but could you guys just give me 1 second? Just 1 second.
We always have an ambulance in our shows. Otherwise, it's not New Haven, right?
we try to keep things exciting and have a little unexpected every show. No question about it. So Juan, why don't we talk a little? You referenced a little bit about Known in the Knownpreneurs Program. Let's talk about that. Let's dig into that a little bit while we're giving Neville a minute.
Absolutely, Bob. So yeah, we're really excited. We had more than 30 applications for the first cohort. So we have this is a new program for Known Co-working, and in partnership with CT Next and New Haven Innovation Collaborative, which is sponsored the program, and it's geared towards the BIPOC community and entrepreneurs who are right now in business with sales of less than $500,000. And so we call them for a program that it's about a 4-month program. So it's a total of about 16 hours of instruction, anything from marketing, finance, operations, on that. And Neville is back. So we're going to start our first program next week, and we're hoping to have our second program the second half of the year.
I mean, it's going to be within the
Great. Yeah, it's
Gonna
that's
cut
exciting.
short because I know we have time constraints.
Sure.
Yes.
So if we could circle back now, Neville,
Yeah.
we were talking a little bit about how the new location and foot traffic was going for you.
Yeah. So we opened back after being closed for 7 months. And her first time was October 9th was the first time we opened our doors, and we opened the doors here in the new location. And we're just excited that people are buying clothes. Period. It's been just pretty much quiet for most of last year because of COVID. And our busy seasons, which were the holidays, not the holidays, but like for wedding seasons, were typically where we did most of our work. And that was sort of like our Christmas season, as opposed to other spaces that have some similarities to what we do. And that was totally wiped out. But we've seen a good, the foot traffic here is the best we've known, the best we've seen, in terms of like me being in this business.
Great.
Here, we've seen way more people coming into the store than we've ever had before.
It's great to know that there's a lot of you're seeing foot traffic in downtown New Haven now. It was a little slow for a while, but it seems that things are picking up. That's what it shows. You mentioned that you're 2 years ahead, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about what's going to happen in 2023. So what's your expectation? What's next for Neville?
2023, I should be in the Cayman.
Are you going to get a vaccine?
Absolutely. So we right now we're in this new space. We're looking at what this business is going to look like after we finish a pandemic. That's kind of like where we are, and what that's going to look like when there's some normalcy back to us. There's always room to grow in Neville's world. There's always room to grow, to make for bigger spaces or whatever it is. There's no limit to how we sort of think about the future. It's always like, how do we do this better? Now that we're in this space, what is it that we need to do better in this space? Are we gonna have to expand on this space? Are we, how do we be more efficient in this space? So now we're looking at all of the things that we've never really had to deal with before because of the increased foot traffic, or the time that we open to the time that we close to, we survived a lot by appointments. We had a 12 to 7 time frame that we always opened our stores, but now we have a 10 o'clock to 9 o'clock once the pandemic is done and we go back to normalcy. So that's sort of like where we are now, trying to figure out what's that gonna look like when we get there. But for right now, we're just trying to make sure that we can keep our landlord happy as best as we can, to make sure we stay in business, and try to do enough to keep us afloat through this period that's still upon us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's a great story, and I think we love to hear these things about local businesses that are finding found ways to deal with the challenges that have come up and found some exciting opportunities. If you could give us what would be your 20-second pitch to small business owners and operators in the area? What did you learn? What should people think of as they're going forward?
It's difficult for most people to like control their process of how they do business. It's difficult for, one of the things that happened in the pandemic that affected a lot of people, and just the availability of masks, is that everything that's American is made somewhere else. And we one of the reasons why we're still in business is because we actually made a product right here. So we were able to sort of like work in different areas and change things around when it was necessary to be able to make something that we could generate income from to keep our business open. So I guess I'm saying, like, as much of the process that you can control, it would be best. I think that's sort of the future in business in general. It's like this new sensibility that young people have to sort of like be entrepreneurs. It's growing, and individuals are feeling empowered about being themselves and being able to just do something that's right here and now, without trying to like go through this whole process of trying to outsource things, and in general, not just from my business perspective, but other businesses as well.
Right. Well, great. Neville, thank you for your time and your insights and sharing your story and your experiences of the last year. That's been great. We're excited to hear a local business doing well there. And as far as stepping back and thinking about Known and Pivot Talk, again, we'd like to thank our viewers and invite you to link to us on social. That would be Facebook, that would be LinkedIn, and that would be what else do we have there? Our Instagram page. Yes, thank you. So please feel free to link to it, to connect to us there. Also, we are, if you know someone who has a story that would be good on our show, we'd love to hear about that. If you believe that you have some challenges in your business and would like to talk about how to pivot, we'd love to talk to you. You can see on the screen here how to reach us, and we are actually in the process of scheduling some workshops where we're going to help people think through the process, step back a little bit away from their business and their challenges, and look to first find what the opportunities might be, and then secondly to figure out what their actionable plans for moving forward are. So please feel free to reach out to us on that. We'd love to help more businesses in the area be able to find success going forward. And with that, again, thank you, Neville. Thank you, Juan. And another great Pivot Talk. And we will until next time. Goodbye and Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.